This is passage 3. It's a research passage. We know it's a research passage because we see study 1, study 2. You're comparing two studies, not just looking at graphs or charts, and it's not a conflict between scientists or students. So in our DRC approach, research means read. Not carefully, but you're going to skim quickly, look for the processes so you know the differences in the studies. Let's do that together. So we're going to start here with the intro. Two students examine the concentration of drug M and the swimming speed of planarian flatworms. We're going to glance at study 1. 24 dishes are prepared with an aqueous solution. Drug M is added. There's 4 groups. See, I'm not trying to understand deeply, just the basics of what's happening. Each group is incubated at 20 degrees Celsius. And then they're repeating the experiment. What's really important is to look at the graph. So I see an incubation time. And then I see an average BML. And if I look up, I see BML is here, the drug level. Then I see drug concentration. All right, now we go to study 2. I see 12 dishes. That's different, right? I want to note differences, 24 dishes versus 12 dishes. They're prepared as in study 1. 25 degrees Celsius, that's also different because it was 20 degrees Celsius in study 1. And then we're going to look at the chart, incubation time. Swimming speed is different. In study 1, they're looking at drug concentration, and then we have the drug concentration again. So the main differences are the number of dishes, the incubation time, and what they're looking for measuring. Then we go to the questions. We're going to do the R&R approach to understanding. Read the question to orient yourself to what's being asked, and then reread, breaking the question down. We're going to do the reread together. There are 7 questions in this passage. Remember, the goal for the ACT is to maximize correct answers, not to answer every question. If you are, however, trying to answer every question, trying to finish the test to get that top score, then you have about 30 seconds less than the number of minutes that would match the questions. So this passage has 7 questions. That means you would have about 6.5 minutes, right? So 7 minutes minus 30 seconds to finish the passage to be on time to finish the entire test. Number 13, based on figure 1, so we're using figure 1, so this means we're going to have to put in information, make an extension of knowledge. If an incubation time of 60 hours, all right, there's the extension. We have 60 hours between 48 and 72 had been tested, the average BML, so we're in the correct chart, for the planarians incubated at 0.2, so 0.2 is right here, so we're using the lightly shaded gray one. The aqueous solution of drug M would most likely have been. So we know we're going to be between about 11 and 21, so choice C, between 11 and 21. Number 14, we're using study 1, so put your finger on study 1, figure 1. A student hypothesized, so we have to see if the information matches the student's hypothesis, that as the concentration of drug M in the solutions increase, so we see the concentrations here, and we're increasing from that black one to the light gray to the striped one. As it increases, the average BML would increase only. The results for how many of the incubation times tested in study 1 are consistent. So we just got to go through the incubation times and see if this is true. So let's start with 24. So at 24, when we go from black to gray to striped, it increases. So we know it's at least 1, but we see that same pattern in all of them. So the student's hypothesis is correct for all 4 incubation times. So J. Number 15, we're using study 2. It's a suppose if Y question, so it's an extension of knowledge. So suppose that swimming speed, so swimming speed is here, is directly proportional to the concentration of a particular protein. There's the extension. Swimming speed equals a protein in body tissues. So they're interchangeable. For 0.2 solutions, we're using the gray one. Which one would have the greatest average concentration of this protein in the body tissues? So we're just looking at this graph here on the, or this axis on the left, right, the y-axis, and we want to know which one's the biggest, and we see that at 480, so our answer is D. Number 16, we're using study 2. Which of the following statements about the effects of drug M concentration of 0.5 or 1.8 on average swimming speed is consistent with the results of study 2? As incubation time increased from 1 through 480, so 1 to 480 going left to right, the planarians in a solution having a drug M concentration of. So we're just going to have to break this down, process of elimination. Let's start with choice F. 0.5, so we're here, and it says the average speed increased only. It did not. It increases, then decreases. So we can eliminate choice F. Choice G we can eliminate also because we see it increases and decreases. It doesn't decrease only, so G is out. So now let's look at choice H. The 1.8 milliliter average swimming speed increased, then decreased. So 1.8 is the striped one. It does increase, then decrease. So our answer is H. Number 17. Which of the following statements comparing the designs of the two studies is accurate? So we're looking at the entire passage. We already broke this down in our initial read through, so we're just reviewing. Choice A, a greater number of incubation times was tested in study 2 than study 1. While the amount of time tested was different, the number of times tested was the same. They both tested 4 different incubation times. So choice A is out. B, a drug concentration of 1.8 was tested in both studies. We only see that in study 2, so B is out. C, more time was required to complete study 1 than study 2. Well, we know in study 1 that was one of the differences. There's 24 dishes prepared, and in study 2 only 12 dishes were prepared. So more time was required to complete study 1 than study 2. So C. Number 18, in which of studies 1 and 2, if either, was the incubation temperature varied from group to group? So again, we're looking at the studies comparing in their entirety. So in study 1, we see the incubation temperature was held at 20, and in study 2 at 25. We discussed this in our read through. So for each group in study 1, it's all at 20, and each group in study 2, it's all at 25. So neither study varied from group to group. So your answer is J. Number 19, consider the samples that were collected from the organisms in study 1. So collected tissue samples from each planarian in the group. Do these cells have nuclei, and do they have ribosomes? So the cells are from a freshwater flatworm, which is an animal cell, but knowledge, both plant and animal cells have a nucleus and ribosomes, so your answer is A. Remember, on the ACT, 1 to 4 questions will test basic scientific knowledge, so this is one of those. So here are the recording categories for each question, so you can look back and see if there's a particular question type that might give you trouble. Reach out if you have any questions. We'll end with our silly joke. What type of music do worms enjoy? Yeah, it's mostly underground stuff. Have a good day.